people of the net? It's your new favorite NPC, JD Graves, and welcome to The Real Video Show. Before I get to yakety yakking, please like and subscribe. Today we are focusing on an indie horror comedy, Pulp Modern Die Laughing. Now, if you're anything like me, you're looking at this flick like, what is this? Some kind of poor man's creep show minus name actors? Sure, I'll rent it just to make fun of it. Squeeze some hateful chuckleade from this lemon. But 2 minutes in, you'll find nothing too sour about this sweetness, and slightly more refreshing than a Fresca. It's an anthology film based on an anthology lit series called Pulp Modern. Those of you who know, and for those of you who don't, welcome aboard. The flick consists of 5 short films with a narrative device tying it all together. First short is called Overkill, and the title don't lie, except you won't know the title until the very end credits, which I found funny. After a scene introducing the stereotypical teens who all go off to bump uglies or get a snack at craft services, we get to meet our young heroine and the turtleneck on steroids who loves her. This guy definitely has art student in his Insta bio. This splatter satire gets going fast, so if you blink and miss it, just rewind. After much talk of the nasty, we meet the smiley face slasher, a hilarious mix of every single slasher trope to ever grace the screen going back to Methuselah and then some. And it actually has more suspense than that snorefest, The Strangers Chapter 1, including a really solid jump scare amongst the satire. But don't throw out the popcorn just yet. The opening short in the anthology knows what it is and executes its mission on point, leaving the viewer ready for more. Vinyl Trap is on next, and it's the narrative spine keeping this body together, as a series of radio show interludes. The lighting and cinematography is solidly done, and we get to meet Mr. C and his not-so-secret Santa, a one-night stand who has tracked him down to his radio studio and keeps sending him a series of tokens of her obsession. On to the second short, Mirrored. A gamer guy gets a mirror delivered and installed and realizes it is possessed. A tale as old as time. The music sets a solid mood for the silliness, and the demon is genuinely scary but slightly overused as things lead to their logical conclusions, where we are treated to a pretty intense yet brief journey into the shadow realm. Now bear with me for about half a minute so we can pay some bills around here.
Frank didn't know about the dynamite. No one knew but Samantha. When one loses everything, she reasoned, what's left?
Won't be no handsome officers left by the time Papa allows me to marry one.
Her savior, the outlaw, the man with the beautiful face. Now a dying pile of meat and bones. We ain't nowhere near done with this here treasure hunt. Then out she stepped to go kill Frank.
Back at the radio show, a new package arrives, which is immediately dismissed by Mr. C. This time it's a pulp novel called Motion Blur by John Dykstra. This leads to a short film called Rest Stop by Stephen King. That's right, the Stephen King. And for my money, it is the crown jewel in this anthology. A college professor is denied the chair of his department, which launches the academic/indie author on a twisted journey down a dark road. The acting by the lead here is quite good, and the direction well considered. However, the more TikTok-minded of you in the audience might find yourselves wallowing the couch and swiping up and down on your phone. However, you will miss a very well-made short film in the slow burn category. The music here reminds me of Full Moon Features, and that's not a dig at Charlie Band's little brother. Both the music and diegetic sound on display are both solid and do an immense amount of heavy lifting. While admittedly my personal favorite in the anthology, I must confess I wish it had been saved for the last. It's also not very funny beyond sight gags. The only real con I found is that Rest Stop does both, slamming the brakes on the momentum of the overall movie. But what do I know? To each their own. Up next is Cocky. In the fourth short, we are introduced to a grandma and her grandson who appears to be on a spectrum of some kind. Whether the actor playing him is or not, the performance is incredibly believable. The crux of this piece concerns the grandson teaching a bird to share his foul mouth, which leads to disastrous consequences when the bird happens to go off in front of a visiting priest, who looks a lot like an ex-roadie for Judas Priest. I'm just saying. Plot-wise, this one should be seen to be believed. And after reading some other reviews online, this one is high on the favorites list. Technically, it is well lit and well acted at the beginning, and becomes even more naturalistic as it progresses, which is funny considering it's about a talking bird with a vulgar vernacular and an evil streak that can make your favorite true crime story retch. This brings us back to Mr. C and his mysterious caller. This story arc definitely thickens like a Creole roux and leads us to the penultimate story. Sloppy Seconds by E.F. Sweetman finds a couple in the midst of domestic subterfuge. A philandering husband is delayed on his rendezvous with his mistress by his wife, who's made his favorite meal. Things are not as they appear, and they escalate quickly. This one is heavy on shock value and unfortunately missing an underscore, which could have helped. The writing, though, is strong and definitely had my chest tightening as it progressed. After a Barfarama climax, we go back to Mr. C's radio show. There's a wraparound to put things to bed, and then the credits roll, and we get to see some more artwork by the unique stylist Rand Scott. All right. In summation, Pulp Modern Die Laughing is not Citizen Kane, but it is a fun way to spend a movie's runtime. As a film festival judge the past 5 years, I can say without a doubt that it has some artistic merit in spite of its flaws, and I'd recommend it to anyone who is looking for some time to kill. 3.5, 4 stars. Now, here at The Real Video Show, Liam and I are always looking for good stuff to watch, and if you're an indie filmmaker or content creator and would like your movie considered for an episode of The Real Video Show, reach out to the address on screen right there. Give me your best pitch, and I will consider it. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe so we can continue to deliver quality content.